In the shadow depths beneath the endless rain, for those the world calls villains carrying the pain. One door yields to a glimmering of hope, a journey to redemption, a way to cope. Step inside the muse, let the masks fall away. Even the condemned seek the food today. When the weight of the myth is too heavy to bear, drop the monster's burden here. A single spark in the darkness can rewrite the myth entirely. A new monster, a new burden. Let the reading begin.
Welcome in or welcome back. It's been a while. If you're wondering where I've been, I was strongly guided to step back for a hot second there and retreat my energy, withdraw my energy completely. And, it was necessary to do so in a very abrupt way. The Most High, has their reasons for things, and sometimes quick action is very needed. But I do want to apologize to anybody who actually likes watching my content and was worried about what happened or whatever. So anyways, I came back just in time for the partial lunar eclipse tomorrow. So I wanted to give a little synopsis on that. And I am utilizing human design to do this synopsis. And it's going to be the 13 sign based off of the 13 signs with Ophiuchus included. All of my other astrological analyses did not include that, but I figured out really the only way to get true sky astrology, or at least the closest thing I could find to it, is by going through human design. Genetic matrix is the tool I utilize for that. Okay. So I'm going to start off with that, and then I'm going to do a reading, probably a collective, and then a little, pick a pile like I've done in the past. Okay. But yeah, I really missed coming up here. It made me extremely sad, but I had to the whole thing with the total eclipse that had happened was releasing ego. Okay. And any attachments and stuff like that. And I really needed to explore other options to express myself, and really just, I think one of the main lessons was just really making sure that I wanted to do this, that I wanted to put myself out there in this manner, because coming up here doing, oracle readings and astrological readings is very risky for anyone who does this, because there is a mass part of the population that is extremely against those that do this kind of thing. They're very quick to call us crazy. They're very quick to demonize us. And, there are definitely people that do this kind of work who I would say fall under those categories for sure. But, to just umbrella the whole crew is a reflection on their ignorance, their lack of critical thinking. So, yeah, I mean, it's really not easy, especially, I've been extremely open about a lot of my personal details in my life, but like, it, it is what it is. Life is messy. Things get ugly. I am a perfectionist at my core, and it's very difficult for me to put myself out there. Like, very difficult. Unless everything's like absolutely perfect. And this has been a huge experience of growth for me. So, it is what it is. Another huge part of it is like not deleting oneself. And it doesn't just mean when somebody deletes themselves for it to be physical, like they're not physically here anymore in this plane. It can also mean like removing your presence in the digital world, in the physical world, like completely isolating yourself, not going out, just constantly ordering in and all this other stuff. There was this huge message I got that like, it was like looking back on it now, my interpretation of it, of the bigger message that it was trying to teach me, of the experience I'm about to describe, is the universe knew what one of my deepest insecurities was being seen as, hold on, there was a lot of crazy chaotic energy going on just now as I'm trying to say this, and it did not make it any easier for me to say it. So okay, all right, so let's rephrase that. So essentially, just I got this message that like I was meant to be a ghost. We've talked about the whole ghost thing. We have this, if I can't get it out, the door is locked to the haunted mansion. Okay, that's fine. My little ghost figurine, and then I talked about the whole ghost lore and all of that, the Holy Ghost, and the liminal walkers. We didn't get to that part yet, though, in the Two Worlds Path readings. If you're not new here and you've been following along, you know what I'm talking about. If you don't, you can check that out. So essentially, it's like I was given this message, like I meant to just be this like creature of the night where like I don't ever show my face and like nobody ever sees me, and I just work behind the scenes, and like it ended up being like the complete opposite. Like I misinterpreted, wouldn't say I misinterpreted, but like I was led astray in a way. Okay. But it allowed me to like understand those kinds of energies. And I mean, I have been basically living my life like that for the most part. I've been cycling in and out of that energy um, for a long time. And that's that whole like hello, goodbye thing, like just peacing out, you know? Um, and it's like I feel like it's directly related to survival and like wounds, like I don't know, you call it like witch wounds or something like that. We're like being persecuted a lot um, for things you say and all of that. So, and that definitely has to do with like my Chiron placement because it's directly related to speaking one's truth. Okay. So, yeah, I don't know. I know I just explained all that pretty choppy or whatever, but I did the best I could. It's not something easy to talk about. You know, I can't get into all the nitty gritty details right now, but, um, so yeah, I feel like that's enough of an update here. There's not really much else. There's not really much else I want to say there. But all right, so we're let's get into this partial lunar eclipse. All right, so let me see. 9. Okay. So the August 28th partial lunar eclipse brings an intense energetic crossfire that demands both emotional authenticity and physical grounding. As this eclipse closes out, the intense portal opened by the August 12th total solar eclipse, the cosmic architecture requires us to process heavy mutative waves. The core energetic themes, the emotional wave, channel 39 55. The cosmic weather is driven by the channel of emoting, pushing us between ecstatic highs and profound heavy lows. This pressure isn't meant to be fixed, it is meant to provoke deep creative melancholy that helps us discover what genuinely carries spirit. This is pretty much what I've been going through this past month, so it's like I don't know if anybody else has been feeling this already or like I don't know, like I definitely this is just what I went through pretty much. All right, so the next one, visionary leadership anchored by the left angle cross of the alpha. The energy supports leading the collective toward a new dream, but only if that leadership is rooted in raw, unforced feeling. The Hermit's Retreat, the 6-2 profile. This transit carries a strong second line instinct to withdraw. There you go. Protect your energy and utilize solitude to process the volatile mood swings away from external demands. Yeah. So this was heavy to deal with, and I didn't have an outlet. So, like, talking to you guys was my outlet, and it was hard for me. I had to find other ways to express myself, you know, and I feel like it was a very beneficial experience. You know, I expanded my horizons quite a bit, and now I have some other outlets, so it's good. Okay. The astrological friction, the fixed T square using the 13 sign side rail framework, a powerful tension pits the heart centered Leo sun against the detached Aquarius moon. The Taurus release valve, both luminaries severely square Mars in Taurus, creating dense, stubborn frustration. This energy cannot be cleared through talking or thinking. Yeah. See, I like, you know, was trying to like psychoanalyze everything a lot. I didn't have anybody to talk to, so like that was definitely not an option. And I think that's kind of like, it was like a path clearing thing, like experiencing this and kind of like clearing the path energetically for the rest of the collective. And I'm not saying I'm the only one. That's why I said like y'all might have experienced this too. You know, I'm not the only one that's path clear or whatever, but I definitely have noticed that that's a pattern here with these eclipses and stuff, and like the astrology going on is like I'm experiencing it in the period beforehand. So let's see. So yeah, with the thinking thing, it's like I had this like I've always had this tendency to like psychoanalyze everything, and that was actually what really drove me into the hermit mode, was over analyzing my astrology chart. And I was looking at it from a fatalistic perspective, and it was like telling me some really horrible stuff. I was also using like a lot of placements that are on the darker side, so like Hades and stuff like that. And it was basically saying that like it was like describing me as death, like, and it's like people glamorize the idea of death and think like, oh, death's so cool. Like I I don't know how to explain I don't know how to explain this or whatever, but it allowed me to like experience what that felt like. And it's like this putrid like energy. It's just this horrible energy that like everybody's afraid of, everybody like runs away from. And I mean, I've already been experiencing this for a long time. I just couldn't like pinpoint it or name it or like figure out where it was coming from. Okay, so I don't know. It brought me down this like really dark to this dark place. Okay, and of introspection on a dark, deep level, and it was like very hard to get through. Like very hard to get through. And so yeah, the whole like, okay, so how to navigate these currents: physical grounding, channel the Mars and Taurus friction in a tangible methodical activities. Step away from the screen and absorb the physical static by working with the soil in your garden or taking long walks to explore wooded streams. So I didn't do that. Instead, I played Fallout 76, and I explored the streams in that game because like I was basically guided to like not go outside and not go in water. I was like told like I can't go in natural bodies of water for crazy reasons, but it's a whole big rabbit hole we're not getting into right now. But it was like really hard because I love water. It's summertime, like, so so there's like some element of like kind of sacrificing things there to grow and expand. It's like restricting yourself so you can expand further, because it's like, people hit plateaus, they hit this comfort zone, and then they just stay there. So it's about like restricting to expand. Okay. Creative alchemy: use the quiet sanctuary of the hermit phase to pour the heavy emotional weight of Gate 55 into solitary deep dives, structuring those intense feelings into original poetic lyrics or cinematic visuals. So I did that as well. I made music, so that really helped me. Observe and detach. Allow the 6-line conscious mind to go to the quote unquote roof, analyzing the emotional extremes objectively before pulling tarot cards or offering guidance to others. So checking yourself before you wreck others and yourself. So check yourself before you wreck yourself, but check yourself before you wreck others. So yeah, like for myself, it was like I had this duty. I needed to pull myself back to make sure that I was what's the word? Providing service to the collective to the best of my abilities without causing harm, you know? So yeah, I mean, that's super important to do our best just to not project our own issues on others. Okay. All right. This lunar eclipse serves as a powerful release point, clearing the emotional static before we begin moving toward the next major cycle, which culminates in the highly anticipated August 2027 total solar eclipse. Okay. And then, yeah, there's definitely been a lot of releasing going on. Like even, Mother Nature, there's been an insane amount of volcanoes, earthquakes. There's just a glacier that melted, and then it landed into like a lake, and then that caused like a tidal wave, and then it like broke a wall that was like blocking the lake from this town that was built below it. Which, like, why do they build these places in such ridiculous areas? I don't know, but hopefully we learn not to do that at some point. That'd be great. Okay. But yeah, there's, the whole thing with the wall breaking down was a huge part of my whole like story that I read for the total solar eclipse on August 12th. And so I found that really interesting, the synchronicity there, or nicity, I don't know if I'm saying that word right. There's definitely been a lot of releases going on here. Okay, so now I'm going to read 3 pathways. They're very brief. They're just short little snippets of kind of like where your energy might go to. So it can kind of just give you an idea of how to navigate the energies, okay? If you haven't already been navigating them. All right. So the path of the alchemist, the creative hermit, for those feeling the heavy melancholic wave of the 3955 channel, your path is retreat and physical creation. The story, Ilera feels the eclipse energy hit like a dense fog. Instead of forcing herself to socialize or explain her sudden mood drop to her community, she honors her second line instinct and locks her studio door. The heavy emotional friction demands a physical outlet. So she turns to her workbench. For 3 days, she channels that stubborn Mars and Taurus frustration into building, painting, and designing a massive, dark, aesthetic canvas. She doesn't think, she just works with her hands. When the eclipse window closes, the heavy melancholy has vanished, alchemized into a tangible masterpiece that speaks louder than words ever could. Your route. Do not fight the heavy wave. Isolate, gather your tools, and ground the emotional static into a physical, creative project. Okay. Next, we have the path of the silent guide, the visionary leader. For those carrying the left angle cross of the alpha, your path is navigating the tension between your personal identity and the collective's demands. The story, Silas is being pulled in 2 directions. his Leo desire to express his own raw creative heart, and the chaotic demands of his community, Aquarius, needing his guidance. The pressure builds into intense frustration. Recognizing he cannot force people to understand, he steps back to the quote unquote roof, the 6-line phase of objective observation. He stops trying to manage the collective and simply begins living his own emotional truth out loud without apology. By refusing to engage in the friction and choosing authentic self-expression, the community naturally aligns behind him, inspired by his unshakable emotional honesty. Your route: stop trying to actively manage or control the group. Step back, observe, and lead simply by being a living, authentic example of your own truth. So, what I was saying earlier, I guess that this is definitely putting it into better context with like stepping back, so that you're able to present yourself authentically and not hiding behind any types of masks and stuff, of wounds or whatever. It's just about like understanding what the hell is actually going on with you, right? And being able to express that properly. So the path of the ground, the next one is the path of the grounded provocateur, the builder. For those feeling the intense, stubborn urge of gate 39 to provoke and push boundaries, the story: Rowan wakes up restless, feeling an overwhelming urge to poke at the stagnant systems and relationships around him. He wants a reaction, but he recognizes that this fixed, stubborn T-square energy will only cause destructive fires if aimed at people. Instead, he redirects that volatile friction into the earth. He spends the days surrounding the eclipse doing redirects. Doing heavy, exhausting labor, tearing out overgrown roots in the garden, and remodeling a damaged structure. The intense physical exertion acts as a release valve. The urge to provoke others transforms into the drive to construct a solid, unshakable foundation for his future. Your route: when the urge to fight or provoke spikes, do not send the text or start the argument. Go sweat it out. Redirect your stubbornness into heavy physical labor or a demanding hands-on task. Okay? So, and then I'm gonna read. This is just the like astrology and the human design aspects. Okay, in a little more detail. So we have the 6-2 profile, role model / hermit. The second line, the unconscious hermit. The body's instinct is deeply self-contained. It possesses a natural, unstudied genius, but requires a physical fortress of solitude to protect its energy and hone its craft away from outside demands. Others often project expectations onto the second line, seeing its talents before it does itself. The 6th line, conscious role model. The mind operates with a transpersonal overarching perspective divided into 3 distinct life phases. The first 30 years involve intense trial and error. The next 20 years, the quote-unquote roof phase, are for withdrawal, healing, and observation. So depending on how old you are, I guess is like what phase you're in. But like collectively, we're in the roof phase from what I gathered from this. Okay. Post 50, it descends to live as a trusted objective guide. Synthesis. This profile demands significant time alone to cultivate innate talents in peace. When it does engage with the collective, it leads best not by commanding or interfering, but simply by being a living, authentic example of its own hard-won wisdom. There you go. That's a good way to put it. The whole thing with how to present oneself, right? So not putting on, facades and like putting out airs or whatever, right? That doesn't mean you can't like present yourself in a refined manner. Like, for example, for myself, I got this cool background that I worked on behind the scenes to make. I think it's cool. And and it was a pain in the ass to put up, but I did it. And so for me, like things like that like that's an authentic expression of myself because I'm very Venusian, um seventh house Venus, like very Venusian. So things like how to present myself, and then also like the intro. I'm gonna put an intro to my videos from now on, or I'm gonna try. I made one. We're gonna see how it works when I edit this video. Y'all can let me know in the comments if you like it or not. If you don't like it, I don't know. I like it. I think it's cool. It's like a little comic strip kind of thing. I mean, you'll have already seen it if it worked out. If it didn't, you don't know what I'm talking about. So, but yeah, so things like that, refining, going by whoever you are, whatever is your authentic way to express yourself. Okay. All right. So astrologically speaking, the aspects, using the specific 13 sign Deluge framework shown in the wheel, the day is defined by immense localized friction that demands a grounded outlet. See, I found it interesting that in the human design options for the 13 sign, they do describe it as deluge, but like when you use deluge in like Astrology Master or any other typical thing, or you even look it up, via the interwebs, it says deluge does not include the 13 sign. But when I did my research, like it was the most astronomically accurate methodology for reading astrology. But like true sky is what it's called, like when it does include the 13 signs. But I just found it interesting that they call it deluge. I don't know. So I'm no expert like in any of this stuff, but I'm like, I would say mediocre. Um all right. So the eclipse axis, I'm just good at doing research for the most part, but I'm also a ditz. So like sometimes, I make mistakes with what I say, but that's part of growing and evolving. And yeah. The eclipse axis, Sun in Leo opposite Moon in Aquarius, the core tension pits individual heart-centered creative expression and personal sovereignty, Leo, against collective, detached humanitarian ideals, Aquarius. It highlights the balancing act between personal identity and group consciousness. The fixed T-square, Mars in Taurus squaring the Sun and Moon. The red triangle in the center of the wheel is the chart's primary engine. The Sun-Moon opposition forms harsh 90-degree angles to Mars. This generates intense pressure, frustration, and a drive to act. Because Mars is in the fixed physical sign of Taurus, the necessary release point for this volatile energy is slow, methodical, and tangible building rather than impulsive outbursts. So But then, it is saying like to be authentic in the way you express yourself emotionally and being like raw with the way you express yourself. So it's a little confusing, like, but I think the main thing is like, pulling your energy back, refining your process, whatever that process is that works for you, and then expressing yourself authentically is what it is. Okay. Saturn in Pisces, 10th house. There is a structural karmic weight placed on the public sector of this chart. This placement demands spiritual discipline and strict energetic boundaries regarding career, authority, and public reputation. See, the whole Saturn aspects in my chart was the main thing that drove me into the period of isolation. A lot of 12th house, Saturn, Neptune, and Saturn and Neptune was the main ones going on there. And yeah. All right. The interaction between the fixed astrological T-square and the 3955 channel of emoting creates a potent feedback loop where astrological tension directly fuels intense emotional extremes. The pressure cooker. The astrological T-square involves fixed signs Leo, Aquarius, and Taurus, which are deeply stubborn and resistant to change. Simultaneously, the 3955 channel connects the root, adrenaline, and pressure directly to the solar plexus, emotion. The immense frustration generated by the Sun-Moon opposition squaring Mars acts as the direct trigger for the root pressure, locking the body into severe emotional swings between ecstatic highs and profound heavy lows. Okay. Okay. I just had to check something. So next we have stubborn provocation. Gate 39. Gate 39 is the energy of provocation, poking at systems, ideas, or people to see what carries authentic spirit. With Mars, the planet of action and friction, and Taurus, slow, physical, unyielding, sitting at the apex of the T-square, this provocation isn't fleeting or loud. It becomes a deeply rooted physical stubbornness. The urge to test boundaries or push against the status quo will feel dense and enduring. Then we have the physical release valve. Well, yeah, I guess a relief. A T-square must release its tension through its apex planet, in this case, Mars in Taurus. Because Taurus governs the physical earth, the senses, and tangible building, the volatile mood swings of the 3955 wave cannot be resolved strictly through thought or conversation. When the melancholic wave hits its lowest point, the energy requires a hands-on physical outlet, channeling that intense frustration into remodeling projects with power tools, managing the soil and nightshades in a garden, or walking through wooded streams, physically grounds and discharges the emotional static. So, okay, that's another layer to add on to the nuance of this whole situation. It's just like when the energy reaches the energetic low, or the volatility is high, right? To navigate that wave, don't hop on the internet and start yelling and screaming at people. You know what I mean? Like, that's not, or like, don't go and start yelling and screaming at your neighbors, or yelling and screaming at your kids or your friends or your partner or whatever. So, okay, and then we got creative melancholy, gate 55. Gate 55 is highly acoustic, poetic, and spiritual, often finding its greatest breakthroughs through periods of deep melancholy. The harsh friction of the T-square provides the raw necessary fuel for this creative output. This specific energetic overlap is highly supportive for pulling heavy emotional weight into original poetry, structuring those lyrics into dark cinematic music and building out the visual aesthetics to match the mood. How to deal with these extreme emotional shifts. The second line hermit instinct functions as a vital biological containment field for the volatile emotional extremes of the 3955 channel and the physical friction of the T square. Without this enforced isolation, the fixed astrological pressure would easily overwhelm both the individual and anyone in their immediate orbit. Okay. So then we have containment of provocation. When the 3955 emotional wave hits a deep melancholic low, the frustration of the sun, moon, Mars, T square spikes. The second line, unconscious, physically pulls away, preventing the provocative energy of gate 39 from lashing out and creating unnecessary conflict. Isolation keeps the friction internal where it can be processed safely. Productive melancholy. In solitude, heavy emotional pressure transforms from a social liability into a creative engine. The deep moodiness of Gate 55 needs a quiet, unbothered environment to pour that emotional weight into solitary deep dives, whether that means structuring original symphonic dark metal lyrics, designing grim. Oh, okay. Designing grim noir comic storyboards or conceptualizing 100-card esoteric oracle decks. It gave examples that I've done. Okay. Physical decompression. The second line requires a literal retreat to ground the stubborn Mars in Taurus tension. Methodical solo activities absorb the physical static. Managing camp resources in Fallout 76, navigating coordinate grids, and crafting in Minecraft. Oh yeah, I was playing Minecraft too. I love Minecraft's really cathartic for me. Definitely, if you have heavy Virgo placements, Minecraft's great because you can like clear all these pathways and like expand your village, you know, building and like all this stuff. Yeah, it's really good for that. So let's see. Or taking solitary walks to explore wooded streams, provide the tangible, repetitive focus the body needs to discharge the fixed friction of the T square. Detached observation. While the second line body seeks the physical sanctuary of the cave, the sixth line conscious mind goes up to the quote unquote roof. It observes the massive emotional swings of the 3955 wave with a sense of transpersonal detachment. It analyzes the feelings rather than drowning in them, extracting universal wisdom that can eventually be shared organically, often through mediums like tarot readings once the wave has settled. Okay. So, all right. So, speaking of tarot readings, now we're gonna move into the tarot. Okay, my wave is settled right now, so we're good. We're good. All right. So pick a pile between 1 through 3. I'm gonna do a pick a pile real quick. All right. So number 1, your reading's gonna be about love and romance. All right. All right, so we're going to pull from the Alchemy of Hearts for you. And something else. We'll do something else, too. What's going on in collective choice number 1's love life, spirit? Wait, hold on. Okay. Whoa, okay. The other partner's lover's energies towards you. We got number 14. So we got like magician and emperor energy going on here. So an emperor is trying to manifest you. The idealizer Toxic, putting you on a pedestal or fantasizing you as a savior. Healthy, believing in your potential without distorting reality. It isn't upright. So that's good. Anecdote, they fall in love with the idea of you first and then learn the real you later. Okay. Then we got destiny, outcome, guidance, soul, contracts, timelines. You got number 40, which is the Emperor energy again with the Fool. The test, toxic, sabotage, or temptation. Healthy, opportunity to prove growth. And it was in the reverse. Anecdote, the universe asks, are you ready for healthy love? So you might have been you might have been like idealizing someone, or they were idealizing you. Put it where it fits. If you're this emperor, you're pursuing an emperor is pursuing you. And it's saying here that you or this person believes in the potential of the other without distorting reality, but there's this test coming in from the universe that is trying to make sure you're ready for this. And it's saying right now you're at risk of failing it. And then something in the block position, the connection, dynamics, and relationship patterns. We have number 29, which is High Priestess and Hermit energy. So again, the retreat, this is exactly what we were just talking about. Toxic, ghosting, emotional walls. Healthy, healthy space taken to process. Anecdote, someone steps back, not to leave, but to breathe. So if someone retreats or whatever, instead of stepping in and just jumping into the next thing and, jumping into somebody's bed real quick, you know what I mean? Like, having this concept of retreat being an option for somebody instead of calling it ghosting, right? I gave that whole explanation. It wasn't a great explanation, but about having this ghost energy in a negative way. Originally in my videos, like earlier, when I originally brought up the whole ghosting and I showed the little Minecraft figure and stuff, I was talking about it as being like my hidden superpower or whatever, right? It's like, I'm a ghost, so like you can't kill me because I'm already dead. Like, like that kind of thing. And then I was also talking about, like a bunch of other stuff involved in that. That's like, I guess you could say positive, right? But then there's this negative connotation of it that I experienced. And, but this is talking about like just so basically what I did by just retreating and not giving explanation would be considered ghosting, right? In a toxic way. But I feel what Spirit is trying to say here is that this needs to be understood is like sometimes people need to step back. They need to breathe. They need to reevaluate. They need to retreat for their own health and well-being. And not everything is about you, right? So there's a lot of like selfishness going on in the world where people like we need to be more understanding. If it becomes a pattern where it's like just like you have plans with somebody, like you literally have like plans to like go to somewhere and then they're like no, like they just disappear or whatever, and then they like never give you an explanation, they never apologize or anything like that, they never, that's different. But sometimes it's just like, so this is being blocked, or it's in the process. I would say this is more in the process because this is that energy that's coming in with this new moon. So this retreating energy is important here. Instead of doing this toxic like sabotage or like falling into temptation, to step back and retreat, reevaluate your energy, okay? All right, that's the message that I have for you, pile number 1. I hope this helped you, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye. All right, pile 2. What to do, pile 2? Let's see what Spirit wants to talk to you about. Toxic value system. All right, let's see. What is this toxic value system? Regarding who, though? Let's see. Toxic value system regarding who? Whose toxic value system? Your soul tribe. So you might, something you don't know about your soul tribe that is a toxic value system. Okay, what is this? Where's the, here it is. All right, let's see. Definitely hidden. Boundaries, protecting your energies to sustain your purpose. So your soul tribe, your crew or whatever, so to speak, might be like over impeding on your energy, and like you need to step back in order to be able to actually fulfill your purpose, your divine godly given purpose, okay? Something with values, political environmentalism in the reverse. So there's something here Spirit wants you to think about involving this. There might be something going on. Yeah, okay. And then we have individual power in reverse. Yeah, so there's something going on with like your environment, having power over your environment, people not invading your personal space. This is for my sovereignty deck, this is my card that I pulled the other day for my own personal reading, like my own personal reminder or whatever. And it says, I hold the right to safe space, rest, withdrawal, and protection from harm within my dwelling and within my being. Where is my questions you can ask yourself? Where is my sanctuary? What threatens the safety of my inner or outer refuge? Keywords: sanctuary, safety, rest, protection, refuge, the invitation. Identify or create one physical place that is entirely yours. Spend 5 minutes there today with no obligations. Okay. So you can screenshot that if you'd like to give yourself a little reminder. Okay. I feel like that would be very helpful for you here. There's definitely something going on here with people invading your personal space, okay? So that's the message I think that we have here. Is there anything else, Spirit, that you want to talk about? Let me see. You got 2 no's and 2 yeses, so we'll try to get a consensus. 2 strong yeses. Okay, now we got 3 yeses. Fire and water, fire energy really wants to come through here. It landed on your soul tribe as well. All right, what other message do you want to address here? Something about society. Okay. We'll just pull from, this is like a bunch of different cartomancy methods in one. It's like 3 decks, 3 different methods in one. A misunderstanding with a dear friend. Okay. So, yeah, there's something going on here. Like your friends really love you or whatever, but like they need to just like calm down, right? A little bit. Sleeping alone. A meadow of flowers, rewards from wise choices. Yeah, so stepping back with your energy, okay, it's going to bring you rewards and abundance. A gift. optimism, hope. Okay. Those are all, this is all very good. I'm going to leave it there. A day's work, steadiness, consistency. Do not be impatient. Give yourself some time to be in your sanctuary and pull your energy back. And everything we talked about in the beginning of this reading, if you just skip to this, you might want to go back and watch the my synopsis on the partial lunar eclipse that's happening tomorrow, okay? Because there's definitely a message there for you. All right, so that's the message I have for you, Pile 2. I hope this helped you in some way, and I will catch you on the next one. Bye! Welcome to your reading, Pile 3. What it be? What it be, Pile 3? Let's see what's going on for you. Just got like, my nose just got all tickly. About an event. You might be worried about something, or there's some type of event. This was in the reverse. So there might be some type of event going on. Hold on, let's see. Okay, what's up with this event, Spirit? What do we want to say? Split the deck on major scientific discovery and then unaliving. A prisoner is escaping / has escaped in a housewarming party. This could be like a spiritual prison that you were in and you've escaped from it, is what I'm getting here. Okay. Yeah, a house. That's crazy. Out of all these cards, there's a house. Okay, so this event is something about like a housewarming party. You might be getting a house. American Indian reservation. You might be native or your ancestors. You might be entitled to some land here or something. You might be going to American Indian reservation in a camper van. Something about Los Angeles and the winter time. Okay? So, hopefully that gave you some clarity on whatever's going on with you. Anything else, Spirit, that you want to say here? We got 3 maybe no's and only 1 like some maybe yes. So we're gonna take that as a no. I think that's good. I think hopefully you got what you needed out of that. Spirit's saying that's all you need to know. So all right. And then I guess you know what, I'm gonna do the fortunes. We haven't been here for a while. Let's do the fortunes. Okay. So let's see, 50. All right, so for the fortunes, let's see. Pick a number between 1 through 5. Number 1. Number 1, will you have all the fun? Be generous and charitable to those in need. Okay, number 1, that's the, if you read numbers, if you do the whole, number reading thing, you can check those out. I feel compelled to share that with you. Okay. All right, number 2. What to do, number 2? Let's see. You got, now is a good time to expand your repertoire of skills and knowledge. Very in line with the main message here in this reading today. With the maybe you're an upcomer. You're an upcomer. Yeah, you're up and coming. The upcoming partial lunar eclipse tomorrow, okay? All right, let's see. Number 3, what it be, number 3? Advice is like kissing. It costs nothing and is a pleasant thing to do. Maybe there's some advice that you've been holding back from somebody that you'd like to give, okay? Number 4, what doth, or some advice you need to take? that somebody gave you that you need to take. I don't know. Number 4, what doth spirit implore? Not even a school teacher notices bad grammar in a compliment. Okay, so maybe being able to give out compliments or receive them gracefully is the message here. Something with going on with that. And then number 5, what doth spirit tell you to keep you alive? Take time to relax, especially when you don't have time for it. So again, with this retreating energy, this doing things that, you know, really heal your soul, okay? Super important during this time. All right, guys, that's the messages that I have for you. I hope this reading enlightened you in some way, or at the very least entertained you. And I will catch you on the next one. Bye.